Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Climate 101, and I'm your host, Shreyansh Srivastava. In the past few years, most of us have noticed the declining weather conditions, such as irregular rain patterns, extreme temperatures, and whatnot. These effects are felt differently in different regions of the world. The sudden change in the climate has been largely due to human atrocity, which are increasing day by day and has raised a need to question the people and governments across the world. So today I have with me the members of the Climate Committee across the globe to talk about the current scenario in their respective regions. So first, I would like to welcome Samriddhi to talk about the current situation in United Kingdom.
Thank you, Shreyansh, for having me here. So, this year the United Kingdom has faced several heat waves, which have been a part of heat waves throughout the entire Europe and North Africa. The United Kingdom has experienced three heat waves. The first one lasted for 3 days in June, the second one for 3 days in July, and the third one for 6 days in August. These were periods of unusually hot weather caused by rising high pressure up from the European continent. There were also more wildfires than average. In August, the situation of drought was declared in many regions.
Okay, and what do the statistics say about the climate change problem in the country?
So, on 18th and 19th July, the UK experienced record-breaking heat with temperatures reaching over 40 degrees Celsius. The UK's experience with extreme heat being very minimal, the conditions led to widespread suffering. Care services supporting the elderly and vulnerable were put under increased stress. The sudden surge in emergency calls and hospitalizations had to be put under immense strain, and early estimates suggest that there were nearly 1,000 heat-related deaths. Recent reports and leading scientists have reached to the conclusion that the record-breaking temperatures in the UK last week would have been almost impossible without human-induced climate change.
And what, according to you, are the necessary steps that must be taken to avoid such extremities?
Well, other than enjoying ice popsicles, the government has taken various steps to tackle the present situation. Standardized meteorological heatwave warnings have been issued to make people aware and more prepared for the climatic changes. The National Health Scheme has introduced a heat wave plan to manage more efficiently the stresses caused by rising temperature both on people and on the healthcare system. People are asked to ensure that they are properly hydrated before setting off on car journeys and to avoid four-figure fines. People have also been urged to stay at home, cool down, and stay connected with the people who are more at risk from heat effects.
Thank you, Samriddhi, for your views. Now we have the renowned scientist Ojas Chhabra, who is also the chairman of the Climate Committee, joining us from Delhi to tell us about the situation in India.
Thank you, Shreyansh, for such honorable mentions. I am honored to be a part of this discussion. In the last few years, India has seen a severe declination in its climate. These effects are not just limited to India only, but can be seen in the neighboring regions of the continent as well. Excessive rainfall across South Asia has led to flooding in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan. The temperature in these areas has also touched the extremes.
And sir, what do you think about the situation in India?
If I talk about India specifically, the effects have been largely felt all across the country, but with high regional disparities. They could also be seen in the last monsoon season, which was extremely damaging. The northeastern regions of India that have been particularly prone to cloudbursts and flooding, all thanks to torrential downpours, now have had an even harder time dealing with extreme rainfall. On the other hand, regions of Rajasthan, Gujarat are feeling the scarcity of water resources more than ever.
What do the scientists and the statistics say about the situation in nearby future?
The recent reports show that the specter of climate change is here to stay and will even worsen, and also believed by the climate scientists, me being one of them, as searing winds blow across swathes of North India and in New Delhi, where temperatures have crossed 49 degrees Celsius and flash floods ravage part of the northeast. From raging heat waves to flash floods, from droughts to cloudbursts, India is experiencing the effects of climate change firsthand. And situation will even worsen if the government and the people act so carelessly and ignorantly as they do right now.
Thank you, sir, for joining us here.
The pleasure was all mine. It is our duty to make the people aware of this situation in order to avoid a state of crisis in the near future.
Now I would like to invite Pranjal from Australia to present her views about the crisis there.
Thank you, Shreyans, for having me. Hearing the word Australia, the first thing that comes to most of our minds is the Great Barrier Reef. Coral reefs are home to millions of species, from sponges to seahorses, one of the most biologically diverse and species-rich marine ecosystems on Earth. And climate change and human impacts are putting increasing stress on them, causing diseases and even death.
How do you think the climate change impacted the Great Barrier Reef?
Climate change is the greatest threat to the Great Barrier Reef and coral reefs worldwide. A healthy ocean is vital for a healthy planet, and healthy coral reefs lie at the heart of ocean biodiversity. Home to a quarter of all ocean life, coral reefs provide services for humanity such as food and livelihoods, as well as protection from storms, erosion, and flooding. But these services are in serious jeopardy as we continue to emit greenhouse gases by burning fossil fuels, cutting the world's forests, destroying coastal habitats.
Do you think that the situation can still be curbed?
Yes, it can be, but the window to act is rapidly closing. This may sound shocking, but it is an unequivocal message science is giving us to act as soon as possible if we want to prevent the current situation from worsening. As at this juncture in human history, there is no sense in watering down these concerns. We must act and act urgently.
I think you're right. We must raise the concern regarding the coral reefs. Thank you for your insights into this issue. Now we have with us Pushkar Sethi to throw some light on the situation in California.
Thank you, Shansh, for having me here. The situation in the California is also worsening day by day. Due to the climate change and effects have been visible for last few years. The year 2020 will be remembered as many things, not least which the series of devastating fires around the globe to bear the fingerprints of the climate change. From Australia and South America's Amazon and Pantanal region to Siberia and US West, wildfires have set a new record and made the year around. It has been especially bad for the wildfires of the US West Coast. 5 California's 10 largest wildfires on the record have happened in 2020 and stayed as a new record for excess burn.
What is the major cause of the large number of forest fires?
The topic of today's discussion, climate change primarily caused due to the burning of fossil fuels, is increasing the frequency and severity of wildfires not only in California but also all over the world. During the recent hotter drought, usually with temperatures intensified and the effects of very low precipitation, creating conditions for extreme, high severity wildfires that spread rapidly. Of the 20th largest fires in California's history, 8 have been occurred in past 3 years, since 2017.
Thank you, Pushkar, for sharing your views on the California wildfires. As you have seen and heard about the conditions in different parts of the world, let's hear about the efforts being made by the governments of the countries in order to prevent the global ecological crisis from taking place, which shall be illuminated us by Samriddhi Diwan.
Thank you, Shreyans, for giving me this opportunity. The United Nations and WHO are working on a global and a collective level to improve the situation and maintain climate in order to stabilize it over time and to reduce the current levels of climate change. The governments are trying to improve upon this situation by making efforts and are promising to help control the change.
Thank you, Samriddhi, for your information. Now let's see what Ojas has to say on this topic.
Well, I think a bit differently from Samriddhi. Promises like those are abound in every corner of this bleak world. This current topic has been constantly overlooked by most. It's high time now for the governments to work their blood and sweat in order to battle this current situation. Though efforts are being made for the situation to improve, they are not enough. Efforts are to be made now on an individual level to be of help in this situation.
Yes, I agree. If not on global level, efforts made on individual level are the need of the hour. So coming towards the end of the show, I would like to thank all my guests and viewers for joining us today. And for more climate updates, keep watching Climate 101. Thank you.